Hello, my name's Alan Foom, and I'm going to talk about long-term oil demand forecasts. So this is an overview of forecasts from different public forecasters. So first of all, why is this important? Well, fossil fuels, oil, gas, also coal, foundation of the world's prosperity. Many of the things we take for granted based on modern energy, say food supply, transport, light, heat and cooling, all the goods that we use that our ancestors couldn't even imagine, the new very jobs that we have compared to the back-breaking horrible toil that our forefathers, particularly our foremothers, had to put up with. Medical treatment to save us from diseases. Now, Westerners in OECD countries just take this for granted. They've had it for several generations. They don't remember anything different. And Asians, Latin Americans, Africans want this too. They want to have a decent life. They want to have a safe life. And they deserve a decent life and a safe life. And people don't really care about how these services are delivered. Just want them cost-effective, safe, reliable, convenient and clean. Now people want the benefits of energy. They're not really aware of or that interested in how it arrives to them. They don't want to consume hydrocarbons. Really don't. They just want all the things hydrocarbons enable them to have. And the moment another technology arrives which provides people with the services in a cleaner, more reliable, more convenient and cheaper way, hydrocarbons will go away. Obviously, for areas where they can't be substituted, that will not. Processes will take a long time because of the embedded infrastructure that we already have, but it'll happen. At the moment, there are no existing technologies that can do everything that hydrocarbons can do. They can substitute some of it, but not all of it. Might change in the future with research and development, but in the near term, ain't going to happen. Sheikh Yamani also said that Stone Age didn't end because the cavemen ran out of stone. He was a Saudi oil minister in the 1970s, but plenty of stone is still being used around the world for different things, just different things that cavemen would have used for their tools. We use metal instead. This is the primary energy demand for the world from 1990 to 2018. Data is from the BP Statistical Review of World Energy, which is a great source which is available for free on the BP website. World's energy supply is dominated by fossil fuels, as you can see, so coal in black, oil in red, gas in sky blue, nuclear in yellow, hydro in dark blue, coal, wind and solar in light green, and everything else in brown. And the world's energy demands increased by 71% from 1990. Let's just let that sink in. Increased by a lot. World energy source share. So this is looking at the entire world. Again, oil, gas, coal, nuclear, hydro, wind, solar. And looking at the OECD, the rich countries, the Western countries, where oil is a slightly larger proportion, gas is a slightly larger proportion, coal is smaller, nuclear is a lot larger, and renewables form about 4%. Looking at the non-OECD, so that's China, India, Russia, Brazil, countries like that. Oil is smaller, gas is smaller, coal is significantly larger, mainly China and India. Hydro is significantly larger, China, Brazil, Russia. Nuclear is a lot smaller, and renewables are only about 4%. Even though China is actually the largest renewable energy user in the world, they use so much other energy that's such a small share of their overall total. So looking at public forecasts for oil demand. So these are forecasts which are produced by various institutes, oil companies and government bodies and others. So this is history. So this is what oil has been consumed in million tons of oil per year. And here we have potential forecasts coming from 2018. So at the bottom, the lowest forecast is Equinox renewal, which is about 72%. And DNV, which also has about 70-odd% in terms of forecast for 2040. The Shell Sky scenario, which is very heralded by some environmentalists, has roughly the same oil consumption in 2040 as we're having now. It's just the decline in Shell Sky scenario happens in the latter part of the century. Then we have BP's Evolving Technology, EIA, Exxon, and the Japanese think tank IEEJ. So total range is roughly from 72% to 130% of today's consumption, which is quite a wide range, which is what you'd expect because we do not know exactly what will happen. Looking to the next 20 years, this is a graph showing the cumulative oil demand. So this is the amount of oil that the world has used in the last 20 years. And this is what they will use if we follow the Equinor renewal path, or the DNV path, or the BP's rapid technology change path. And all of these cases will use slightly more, if not significantly more oil in the next 20 years than we have used in the last 20. Oil is not going anywhere soon. We're looking at who consumes the most oil. This again is a graph from the BP Statistical Review. America, China, India, Japan, Saudi Arabia, Russia and Brazil consume slightly over half the world's oil, with America nearly 20%, China nearly 14%, India just over 5% being the biggest consumers. The EU 28, which is the EU including Britain, consumed roughly 14% of the world's total, so roughly the same as China in 2018. But this total had been declining for some time, since the mid-2000s, and is set to decline further, both as a share and probably as an absolute. Britain is here at roughly 1.6% of the world's total. So the world's consumption is dominated by the big countries, America, China, and India. So what is oil used for? This is a graph from BP. There are the similar graphs. They all show roughly the same thing, but in slightly different ways. So 5% of the world's oil is used for electricity. And frankly, it shouldn't be, because there are better ways of generating electricity that produce you less environmental damage and allow you to use oil for other things. 20% of the world's oil is used for light vehicles, so that's cars, motorbikes, etc. Now we've got electric cars coming. How much of that is going to take in terms of market share, we don't yet know. How long that would take to change over, we don't yet know. But this part of the segment can be replaced in the next 20 years or thereabouts. The other 3/4 will be a lot harder. This sector 24 is heavy transport, so that's trucks and other heavy vehicles, which at the moment, although you've got natural gas vehicles potentially, aren't in the near future. Then you've got aviation and shipping, which will be a much bigger challenge to replace. And then you've got industrial sector and petrochemicals, which can never be replaced. So 3/4 of the world's oil demand cannot realistically, 70% of the world's oil demand, according to another source, cannot realistically be replaced in the near future. Ultra long term, that might be, but near future, it ain't going to happen. So we have got a situation where we need to think about what we're going to do. This is a graph from Equinor, with Norwegian oil company, formerly known as Statoil, now an energy company rebranded as Equinor. What you have here is the demand range. So this line here is Equinor's lowest demand forecast. Then you have a decline range, which is what the production from existing fields and fields that are under development will produce. You can see that there's a mismatch. Even in the low case, there is a gap between what we are likely to produce and what we're likely to need. In the higher cases and the mid cases, the gap grows very significant. In order to fill that gap, we must continue to invest in oil and gas in a responsible way to ensure that we meet the world's energy needs. Energy powers the world, but the world takes energy for granted. People don't want to consume hydrocarbons. Why should they? They just want things that hydrocarbons give them. They want it clean, they want it cheap, they want it reliable, in varying orders of priority depending on the country that they're from and the society's priorities where they live. And the message is, Tanya, there are no ideal answers. Thank you very much.